climatic systems, like a sudden violent shift in the stock market or...
Yeah, or an unexpected weather event.
Right, exactly. Or even like a disruptive new tech sweeping through an industry. There's this underlying assumption that we're just watching pure, unpredictable noise.
Yeah, that it's impossible to tame.
Exactly. It feels impossible. And, well, if you stand by the rail at a racetrack and watch a dozen massive 1,000-pound animals thundering down a dirt track at, 40 miles an hour.
They're flying everywhere.
Yeah, dirt flying, jockeys shouting for position. I mean, it looks like glorious, terrifying chaos.
It really does. It looks completely random to the untrained eye. Just this visceral force of nature where the strongest or honestly the luckiest survives.
But then you get handed the blueprints. You step into the world of elite predictive data and suddenly you realize you aren't looking at chaos at all.
Not at all.
You're looking at a highly specific, intricate geometry problem. And today, we are welcoming you, our listener and ultimate learner, to a deep dive that is going to completely change how you view risk, prediction, and, really, how to find order and all that noise.
It's a fun one today.
It is, because our mission today is to decode a massive stack of data from the Brisnet past performances and the Racing Form report.
And we're applying that data to a very specific, very demanding puzzle.
Yeah.
We're looking at race 9 at Churchill Downs. This is the $200,000 Isaac Murphy Marathon presented by Resolute Racing.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we're treating this deep dive not just as a breakdown of a horse race, but as a masterclass in data analysis, risk assessment, and predicting outcomes in complex environments.
Right.
And the environment for this specific test is what makes it so fascinating. I mean, this isn't your standard quick 2-minute sprint.
Oh, no. The environment changes everything here. The Isaac Murphy Marathon is a 1.5-mile dirt race for 4-year-olds and up.
Which is long.
It's very long. In racing terms, that's 12 furlongs. A furlong being 1/8 of a mile.
Okay.
And to put that in context for you, a 1.5-mile dirt race is a rare beast in modern American racing. The vast majority of races are like around a mile or even shorter.
So we're dealing with an extreme outlier of an event here.
We really are. And because of that extreme distance, this is fundamentally not about raw speed. You can't just ask a horse to run as fast as it can in a vacuum and hope it survives the trip.
Right, they just exhaust themselves.
Exactly. The biomechanics of the animal simply won't allow it. It becomes this grueling endurance puzzle. Stamina, oxygen conservation, and crucially physical positioning matter exponentially more than top-end velocity.
So to understand how these athletes are going to perform, we first have to understand the physical ground they're running on. I mean, you can't predict the players until you understand the board they're playing on.
That's a great way to put it.
And the Brisnet data gives us this incredible window into the statistical realities of Churchill Downs right now.
Yeah, if we dive into the track bias stats from the Brisnet data, a very clear narrative emerges about the track itself.
Okay, what's it saying?
Well, the data tracks how the dirt surface is playing based on recent history. So over the current meet, dirt routes, meaning these longer multi-turn races, they have a 55% speed bias win rate.
Which means?
That means horses showing early speed are generally holding their own. But the vital piece of data is the short-term trend. If we look at just the last week of data, that speed bias has spiked dramatically to 68%.
Oh, wow. That's a massive jump. It's like playing a tennis match, but halfway through the week it downpours, and suddenly the clay court gets incredibly heavy and slow.
Right.
You can't play the same baseline strategy you played on Monday because the physical environment is interacting with the players totally differently.
That is a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And the data goes even deeper than just speed. It tells us where on the track that speed is most effective.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Right now, the inside rail and posts 1 through 3 have a massive impact value, up to 1.84 for the week.
Wait, let's pause there so we don't lose anyone in the math. What exactly is an impact value in this context?
Sure. So think of an impact value of 1.0 as a perfectly average expected win rate based on field size.
Okay, so 1.00 is exactly average.
Right. If a post position has a 1.00, it's winning exactly as often as probability dictates it should. So an impact value of 1.84 means those inside posts are producing winners at nearly double the expected mathematical rate.
Double.
Almost double. It is a massive statistical advantage provided entirely by the environment.
But wait, let me push back on this. If the inside rail and early speed are that dominant, if the math is screaming that loudly that the rail is basically a golden highway, don't we just find the absolute fastest horse, stick him on the rail, and call it a day? Like, why is this a complex puzzle at all?
Well, what's fascinating here is that Raw speed actually breaks down when we look at the specific run-style impact values.
Run style.
Yeah, the brisnet data categorizes how these horses inherently prefer to run. You have E for purely early speed, P for pressers, S for pure closers who come from way behind, and then you have EP for early pressers. The data shows that pure early speed, those E-types who just blast to the front, they're doing okay. But the EP profile is actually the absolute strongest here.
The stalker.
The stalker, exactly. The EP run style has an impact value of 1.28 for the meet and 1.34 for the week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And pure closers, the S-types who sit way back and try to make one dramatic late run, they're at a severe disadvantage unless there's just total chaos in front of them.
So they need the leaders to totally collapse.
Right. The track favors a horse that has enough tactical speed to get forward and secure that golden inside rail position, but possesses the discipline to not burn all its energy leading the charge.
Okay, so since we know the type of horse that the math says thrives here, we now need to map out how the first half of this specific race will literally unfold. I mean, if everyone wants to be the stalker, they can't all fit in that space.
No, physically impossible.
Which brings us to the Racing Form Report's pace map, where we take the raw data and build a predictive simulation.
Right. It's about visualizing the geometry of the first 4 to 6 furlongs.
Right.
Who goes to the lead and who tucks in behind them.
So looking at the field, the form report notes that the number 3 horse, Timeout, is a natural pace factor.
Yep.
Then you have the number 4, Digital Ops, who has that crucial tactical speed we just talked about. And right behind them, you have horses like the 5, Interceptor, the 6, Make Sense, and the 9, Stowaway.
Right.
These are all categorized as EP pressure types. They all want that exact same energy-saving stalker position.
And when you synthesize all those competing desires, you get what the form report brilliantly calls the stalker trap.
The stalker trap. I love that term.
It's very descriptive. Because no one in this specific field has blazing, uncontrollable speed, the pace is predicted to be moderate early. But because everyone wants to be forward to take advantage of that track bias, it won't be a slow crawl either.
It's going to be tense.
Exactly. It's going to be a highly tactical, grinding rhythm that leads to severe separation late in the race.
You know, this reminds me so much of corporate strategy. The E-Pure Speed Horse is like a startup burning all its venture capital in year 1 just to be first to market, leaving them totally exhausted when the real industry race starts.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right. And the EP's closer is the legacy company moving too slow, just waiting for everyone else to fail. The EP stalker is the agile company keeping pace but saving capital for the final push. But the stalker trap means if everyone tries to be the agile company, they end up just getting in each other's way.
They absolutely do. And in the middle of that trap, the form report highlights a wild card. The number 1 horse, No Bien Ni Mal.
Oh, yeah.
The initial assumption might be that he sits back, but the deeper analysis says he might sit much closer to the pace than people think if the jockey asks him to.
I want you, listening right now, to imagine being in a long-distance marathon or riding in a competitive cycling peloton. Drafting in a peloton saves you up to 30% of your energy.
Massive savings.
Massive. But if you get buried in the middle of the pack, surrounded by bodies, constantly hitting the brakes, having to reaccelerate because the guy in front of you twitched,
You lose your rhythm entirely.
you lose your rhythm. And in an endurance event, if you lose your rhythm, your legs flood with lactic acid, and your race is completely over before you even reach the final turn. That is the exact geometry of this 12-furlong race.
Energy conservation is the entire game at 1.5 miles.
Yeah.
The horse that uses the least amount of energy to hold the best position early is the one with the stamina reserve to finish the final quarter mile.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because
Okay.
now that the trap is set, we need to look at the primary actors caught in it. If we're looking for the most logical winner, the engine of this race, who does the data point to?
The primary engine is the number 2 horse, Parchment Party, sitting at 2-to-1 odds.
Okay.
The connections alone demand respect. Trained by William Smoot, ridden by John Velasquez. But the numbers are what really jump off the page. He has a prime power rating of 142.0.
Wait, a prime power rating of 142. Give me some context for that scale. Like, is that out of 150? What does an average horse in this race score? Just so we know how big of an advantage that is.
Sure, so prime power is a proprietary brisnet composite number. It factors in speed, class, pace, and form. An average solid horse in a race like this might sit in the 120s or maybe 130s.
Okay, got it.
So a 142.0 puts him comfortably first in the entire field. The algorithm is screaming that he has the highest overall quality.
Wow.
Yeah, and he also has the absolute best dirt speed among all starters. And crucially for this distance, he just won his last race, the 12-furlong Temperance Hill L.
So he's proven he can go the distance.
Exactly. He's proven he can metabolize oxygen effectively over a mile and a half. On paper, he's the most logical winner.
But no system is perfectly secure. What is his vulnerability?
The Racing Form Report offers one glaring caveat. Remember the stalker trap we just built?
Yeah.
Parchment Party requires a very specific tactical pocket trip. He needs to sit right behind the leaders on the inside, saving ground.
Drafting position.
Right. If he gets boxed in behind horses that are stopping, or if he hesitates and loses his rhythm, like your Peloton analogy, the math on this race completely flips. He is incredibly vulnerable to traffic.
So if he gets stuck in traffic, there has to be a beneficiary who is sitting right behind that trap waiting for it to spring. This brings us to the X factor of the data set.
The X factor is the #1 horse, No Bien Ni Mal, sitting at 3-to-1 odds.
The wild card.
Exactly. This horse actually boasts the highest last race speed rating in the entire field, a 104, which he earned by winning the Grade 3 Greenwood Cup at Parks.
Let me stop you there. A speed rating of 104. Again, what's the baseline we're looking at for a race of this caliber?
A standard winning speed figure for this class level usually hovers in the low to mid-90s.
Oh, wow.
Breaking into the triple digits, especially a 104, signifies a monstrous elite-level athletic performance. And doing it in a Grade 3 stakes race proves he has massive class.
But hold on, I am looking at the brisnet data for No Animal, and there is a massive red flag. He hasn't raced in over 7 months. His last race was back in September. How on earth can a horse win a grueling mile-and-a-half endurance marathon coming off a 7-month couch break? I mean, that defies basic athletic logic. You wouldn't pull a marathon runner off the sofa after half a year and expect them to win.
On the surface, you are completely right. It looks like a terrible bet. But this is why we don't just look at the surface, we look at the hidden data.
Okay, what's hidden?
If you check the trainer statistics for Paulo H. Lobo, you'll see he hits at a 22% win rate, with horses returning from 90-plus days away.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has a highly specific methodology for having a horse cardiovascularly fit off a layoff. Furthermore, the workout data shows the horse just logged a sharp 4-furlong workout in 49 seconds flat just days ago.
So he's not out of shape?
Not at all. He's not rusty. The data suggests he is primed.
So the data tells a story of hidden fitness that the casual observer would just completely miss.
Yes. And look at his starting position. He is breaking from post #1. That inside rail, which we established, has that massive 1.84 impact value.
The golden highway.
Exactly. If he breaks clean from that rail and just sits 2 or 3 lengths off the lead, consuming energy, his tactical closing ability makes him incredibly dangerous.
Okay, so we have a scenario where the logical favorite, Parchment Party, needs a perfect trip, and the wild card, No Bien Ni Mal, is sitting on the rail waiting to pounce. But what if both of those narratives fail?
Well, this raises an important question. What happens if the favorites misfire? Like, if Parchment Party gets hopelessly boxed in and No Bien Ni Mal actually is feeling the fatigue of that 7-month layoff.
If that happens, the geometry of the race collapses into what the form report calls lane 3.
Chaos.
We have to look at the value plays. Who sweeps in to pick up the pieces?
The primary value play here is the number 4, Digital Ops, sitting at 8-to-1. The form report calls him the positional play.
Right.
He has the absolute highest run style fit for this specific track bias. He's an E-type who can get forward early. Plus, he won his last race, a handicap at Colonial Downs going 11 furlongs.
So we know his physiology can handle the stamina demands.
Exactly. He is the horse that sits just behind the chaos and capitalizes on other people's mistakes.
Then you have the 3, timeout, at 12-to-1, the pace wild card. The brisnet data flags that he had a poor speed figure in his only recent start, but it also notes he is making his second start off a layoff.
Which is a prime statistical angle for massive improvement.
Right. If the rest of the field decides to play cat and mouse and leaves him alone early on the lead, he could just steal it. And what about the 5 Interceptor at 6-to-1?
Ah, the grinder. He's incredibly consistent, posting a 99 speed rating in his last race. He literally doesn't quit. But his problem is pace dependency. He desperately needs those front runners to tire each other out. If they don't, he just grinds away into 3rd or 4th place.
And looking at the rest of the long shots, the data doesn't just tell us who can win, it tells us who can't. For example, the 7, Johnny's Rendezvous, is sitting at 20-to-1.
Yeah, that's a tough spot.
The data notes he is moving up to a route distance with poor historical speed figures. Let's explain why that matters. It isn't just a bad stat, it's a physiological wall. When you stretch a horse out to a longer route distance, if they already had slow speed figures at shorter sprint distances, they don't magically get faster when they get tired.
No, the aerobic capacity just isn't there. If your top speed at 1 mile is below average, your top speed at 1.5 miles while dealing with lactic acid buildup is going to be abysmal.
Right.
The data also warns heavily against the 6, makes sense, who was beaten by weaker horses in his last race. And the 8, Winstock at 9-2, has a heavily backed trainer and jockey combination and Brad H. Cox and Irodod Ortiz Jr.
Combo.
Very hot. But the data warns he is moving up in class. He is facing a tougher room than he is used to.
What about the 9, Stowaway?
Stowaway is at 12-1, another EP pressure type, and has Jose L. Ortiz riding, who is a great jockey, but again, caught in that trap.
So, what does this all mean? We have the track bias, the pace map, the heavyweights, and the chaos agents. How does someone looking at this mountain of data actually use it to make a decision?
Well, this is where the Racing Form report transitions from analysis to application, using what they call the pick structure.
Yeah.
The fundamental lesson here is that in complex systems, you don't just blindly pick one single winner and hope for the best.
You structure your probabilities.
Precisely. You build a portfolio of risk. The report suggests your primary win candidate is the number 2, Parchment Party, because he is the statistical engine.
Right.
But you absolutely must back him up with the number 1, No Bien Ni Mal, because of the rail advantage and the hidden fitness.
And for the exotic wagers, the Exactas, where you pick first and second, they suggest combining the 2 with the 1 and the 4, digital ops.
Exact.
And for trifectas, first, second, and third, you take your heavyweights and you spread your third place options across those logical stalkers. The 3, the 4, and the 5.
Yep, that's the play.
But hold on, let me challenge this structure. If the data says Parchment Party is the best horse, why are we spending money betting on the 3, 4, and 5 to hit the board? Aren't we just watering down our own return by betting against ourselves?
It feels counterintuitive, but you aren't bidding against yourself. You're buying insurance against the variables you can't control.
Okay, I see.
You are paying for coverage against the stalker trap misfiring. In data analysis, you have to acknowledge the margin of error. If Parchment Party gets a bad trip, your entire investment shouldn't go to zero.
Right.
By spreading your Exactas and Trifectas across the horses with the best tactical fit for the environment, you ensure that if the chaotic scenario unfolds, you're still holding a highly profitable ticket.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what is the ultimate philosophy of this specific race?
The form report's final read says it all. This is absolutely not a best horse wins race.
Not at all.
If it were, they would just run them alone in single-file time trials and hand the trophy to the fastest one. This is a trip-dependent endurance puzzle. This is exactly the kind of environment where value shows up, where heavy favorites get beaten because of traffic and strategy.
And we're sharp data analysts cashing.
Because they didn't just map the raw speed, they mapped the trip.
And that is the ultimate takeaway for you, listening right now. We spent this time decoding past performances, pace maps, and track biases for a 12-furlong horse race. But the mechanics of this analysis apply everywhere.
Everywhere.
Think about prepping for a major business negotiation, analyzing market trends, or launching a new product into a crowded sector. It is no different. You aren't just looking for who is the fastest or the smartest in a vacuum. You are looking for who has the right run style for the specific track bias of the room you're walking into.
Exactly. Are you the engine, needing a clean path and relying on pure quality? Or are you the grinder, needing your competitors to exhaust their capital early so you can sweep in? Knowing your profile and the profile of the environment changes everything.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today. If animal athletic events, with all their dirt, noise, and apparent randomness, are actually just intricate, predictable data puzzles heavily influenced by positioning and environment, well, how many of the so-called chaotic systems in your own life?
Yeah, your workplace dynamics industry shifts.
Right, even your daily commute. How many of those could be completely handicapped and mastered if you just knew how to map the pace of the key players?
The order is always there. It's all just data waiting to be read.
Until next time, keep questioning the chaos and keep diving deep.